My name's Tanna. I'm a heroin addict. This is the fourth time telling my story, and tonight I wrote it down because I didn't want to miss anything this time, and I didn't want to be all over the place like I was before. So I'm going to be reading. I was raised by a single dad. He was a Vietnam vet. He was wounded in Vietnam. He was shot 3 times by a sniper, but he survived. My mother abandoned me at a very young age, and my dad was an alcoholic, a really bad alcoholic, and he would have flashbacks all the time. But I knew that he loved me, and he taught me a lot of things. When I was 11 years old, my dad let me go live with my mom to give her a chance to raise me. And I didn't know this until I got there, but my mom was addicted to crack cocaine. So I ended up smoking crack with my mom when I was 11, and she ended up trading me for sex to her drug dealer for drugs. And that went on for about 2 or 3 months. I was taken by her friends unwillingly to a hotel room and injected with cocaine. And while I was in the hotel room, I remember laying on the bed with hot tears rolling down my face, and I couldn't move. And I looked over, and there was a naked woman standing there with blood dripping all over her because she was trying to inject cocaine but couldn't hit a vein. And I could never get that image out of my mind. And at this point, my mom, after the hotel room, they just ended up dropping me off somewhere. And I made it back to my mom's house. And at this point, my mom had traded and gave away everything we owned. And I ended up running the streets in my pajamas. And this whole event has changed my life forever. When my dad came and found me, which was a few days later, he brought me back to Salem, and we never spoke of any of it again. He didn't want to hear what happened to me, in fear that he would snap and go kill them all, because that's just the type of man he was. So you can imagine what happens from here. From that point on, there was no return. I spent the next 28 years out of control, always in the back of my mind what had happened to me. Every relationship was abusive, physically and mentally. I had so many abortions, I can't count them all or remember, from ages 17 to 36. Different reasons, different men. Again, never talked about it. Every long relationship I was in was with a drug dealer, and I allowed them to do whatever they wanted to me because I was addicted to drugs, and I just wanted to be numb, and I didn't want to feel any feelings. I met Jade's dad when I was 14, and he was 20. I had Jade when I was 15, and I honestly can say that I was happy because I knew that he was mine, and finally I would be loved unconditionally. Needless to say, raising Jade was not easy, but with my dad's help, we survived. My addiction was on and off through the years, through Jade's childhood. He had got to the age where he knew what I was doing and begged me to get help, which I did many times. He would listen to me get beaten in the other room, and he would climb out his window and go beg someone to call the police. And the police would come. They came so many times I can't count, but all they ever asked was if everything was all right. And I would say yes, and they would leave. When Jay got bigger and older and was able to defend me, that's exactly what he did. Jade is now serving a 13-year sentence for attempted murder, 3 attempted murders in Oregon State Penitentiary. I used to let it consume me when he would get in trouble, which was all the time. My addiction got way worse, and I knew if I wasn't an addict his whole life, that he would have turned out different. That is something I think about every single day. But Jade reassures me that that I was the best mom and there's nothing that I could have done to change anything, and none of it was my fault. Nothing compares to the love I have for Jade and the love we have for each other. Everything we have been through has made us stronger. And that was about my son. Now I'm going to talk about my daughter, my oldest daughter, Layla. When I was 21 and drinking very heavily and smoking crack, doing cocaine every day when I got pregnant with Layla, I wanted to get an abortion because I knew I was addicted to drugs and I knew I wouldn't be able to stop. But I was too high to make it to the appointments. So I smoked crack through my whole pregnancy and never went to the doctors. I stayed upstairs at my drug dealer's house with Jade. My water had broke and I had water dripping down my legs for 3 to 4 days before I knew it was time. Well, I knew it was time to go to the hospital, but I didn't want to go because I knew it was going to happen. After I got to the hospital, I had her an hour later. The nurses knew right away, and I was out of it. I couldn't even listen to their instructions. Needless to say, DHS came and took my baby. I did everything that DHS told me to do, and I got Layla back in 3 months. But I never stopped drinking. I never considered, and nobody ever told me, that alcohol was a drug. I had her back for about a month, then got in a car accident with both my kids in the car and got a DUI. And I didn't tell DHS about this, but of course they found out in 1 week. They called me and told me to bring my kids in or they would come and get them. So I did, and it was one of the hardest and heartbreaking things I have ever had to do. I left feeling like a failure as a mother. Again, I did everything DHS told me to do, but I never stopped drinking. I got them both back, and one night I got so drunk that I decided I wanted to smoke crack again. So that's what I did. The alcohol led me back to my addiction for crack cocaine, and I didn't stop for like 3 years. DHS got involved again and took Layla, and I haven't really seen her, and I never really saw her again. She's 17 now and she lives with her dad. And through all of this, my dad was my rock, supporting me through everything that I put him through. So now Layla is gone, and I realize I'm pregnant. I knew who the dad was, my drug dealer for the last 10 years. I knew I was going to keep this baby, and it would be different this time, and it was. I had a really good pregnancy, and I was clean and sober the whole time. DHS let me keep my baby. And DHS closed my case. Through all this, Jade is in treatment, or he is in Hillcrest, or he is in OYA. I was trying my hardest to make things up to him. I was parenting out of guilt. I gave him anything that he wanted. I was a perfect enabler. After a few years, I wanted to have another baby. We wanted Dominique to have a sister and have someone to play with. So I had another baby girl named Ruby. Ruby was 2 years old when I started drinking again, and drinking led to meth this time. I managed with every ounce of my strength I had left in me after 5 years to take excellent care of the girls. They were in a bubble, while behind closed doors I was falling apart and slowly killing myself. Because I didn't have to go anywhere to get my drugs. The drugs lived with me. But we all know nothing is for free. With that being said, those 5 years were extremely hard for me. The mental and physical abuse really took a lot out of me. It started to change me. My weight dropped down to 100 pounds, and I looked like I was dying. I thought I was going to die. The only thing that kept me going was my kids. I didn't want to leave them. And when I thought things couldn't get any worse, my dad died. The day after he died, I went to Walgreens and bought a whole box of syringes and started shooting meth. And I started taking pain pills, a lot of pain pills. So I started doing speedballs and drinking all day, every day. I've overdosed 6 times that I can remember. One night after the girls went to bed, I was so out of it, and I was trying to wake up by injecting meth in the bathroom, which was now extremely hard because I didn't have a vein left that I could find. I decided to cook some noodles, and then I went in my room and passed out. I woke up to the fire department and the police banging on my door. They beat down the door and they rushed us outside because the noodles had caught fire and the whole apartment was filled with smoke. And the police found needles filled with blood and meth all over the bathroom. DHS came and took my girls and charged me with possession of meth. I went to court and I was still using, and the judge said that I was going to do drug court. Then I met with my lawyer and I was given all this paperwork, and all I could think of the whole time was, how the heck am I going to use? And there was no way I was going to be able to use and get away with it. I felt like there was an empty hole inside me. I started slowly feeling feelings and I didn't like it. I observed drug court for about 2 months. I showed up drunk, high every single time. And I thought for sure I was going to be arrested at some point. The judge ordered a UA at court one day, and it came back positive for meth, cocaine, opiates, and alcohol. They were worried about me, but they let me go. One day I didn't show up for court, and a warrant was issued. I drove myself to Marion County Jail, high and drunk out of my mind, and turned myself in. I thought that I would just stay one night and be released, but I was wrong. The drug court judge put a hold on me and kept me in jail for 7 days to sober me up, and it worked. July 26, 2016 is my clean date. When I was released from jail, I did everything I was asked to do: random UAs, drug treatment, 3 meetings a week, PO appointments, one-on-ones with my drug counselor. And about 30 days later, I was reunited with my girls at an inpatient treatment center called Shepherd's Door. That is where I let God into my life, and that is what filled the empty hole. Shepherd's Door is a place for women and children to live. I lived with the girls there for about 4 months. It was the best decision I have ever made. I found who I was, and I was able to talk about everything that has happened to me and let it go. It's amazing how just saying things out loud works. When we left Shepherd's Door and came back to Salem to finish drug court, but the judge ordered me to go to the Shelley house, and there was no children allowed at the Shelley house. So the girls had to stay in Portland with their grandma until I got into Oxford, which never happened. I went to 14 Oxford interviews and never got voted in. But then something great happened. I met Debbie Hall, and I got a room at New Options, and I was reunited with my girls again. I enrolled the girls in school, I got a job, I did all my obligations for drug court. Graduating drug court was the only thing I wanted to do. It was a process. I spent 18 months in drug court. During that time, I graduated treatment, my DHS case was closed once again, and I did 8 months of mental health counseling at Bridgeway. And I went to a lot of meetings. And I also got my own apartment with the girls, a second job, and a car. I have a sponsor, I have done a set of steps, and I'm currently doing a set of relationship steps. And I sponsor some women. And I was reunited with my granddaughter after 2 years. And I get to see my son on a regular basis, and my daughter is on the honor roll. I graduated drug court January 5th, 2017, and right now I have 26 months clean and sober. Since after graduation, I also got off probation, and my possession of meth charge was dismissed. I still go to as many meetings as I possibly can and balance working and being a mother and being a friend. I get back whenever possible, and I have women in my life that care about me and care about my children and care about what happens to me. I have support, and that is something that I never had before. The end.